His name is Arturo. He is 11 years old, and for 3 years now, his corner is his career.
One issue about child labor is that it's been a long tradition in Bolivia, and not everyone agrees that it's a bad thing.
The cities of Bolivia are filled with Arturos, kids hustling for a few Bolivianos, working the streets when they're small, the mines when they're bigger.
See, he's living good. He likes his work. He likes his work.
For some children, the streets are home until hunger and hardship finally catch up. Sites like this inevitably bring calls for the Bolivian government to outlaw child labor, a suggestion that is both well-meaning and naive.
It's very difficult just to say child labor is illegal and that's that. Unless you give people alternatives so they can make a decent living, it leaves families in the lurch.
Utilizamos este this, alumnos, cuando el objeto está cerca. Por ejemplo, digo, this is a ruler.
To escape the mines for good.
That is a window. A ver, leámoslo todos. What is that? Window, ¿verdad? ¿Está entendido?
Education is a powerful ally. It is the reason that Marco Ocampo ends his day in English.
What is that? That is a door, ¿verdad?
After starting it in a deep, dark hole in the ground.
Esto, o sea, this is a pencil. Muy bien.
There are several types of children that we work with. There are those who work for part of the day and go to school for the other half of the day. And the schools here work in shifts. So there'll be a morning shift and an afternoon shift. And then there are kids who work all day but take night classes.
Night schools sponsored by international aid organizations hold out the promise that at least some miners can find a safer way to make a living.
La mayor parte, un 80% del estudiante que...
Most of my students, perhaps 80% of them, are miners. They work in the mine, but they want to learn a practical trade because the mine is very dangerous, and they want to improve their lives, and they want to get out of the mine.
Raul Takuri is one of those students. He began working in the mines as a teenager to help support his family. He knew that if he didn't get out soon, he might never get out. And it wasn't just his own safety he worried about.
Sí, porque, mira, la minería es un trabajo.
Mining is a very hard job. For example, when you're taking the mineral in the small cart, every cart is very heavy, and not every cart has brakes. So if the cart can't be controlled, you can crush someone, kill someone.
The skills taught in these vocational schools are part of a 4-year project designed to give people in the mine something many never imagined they actually possessed: a choice.
CARE's interest is in trying to reduce the number of children who work in mining. And the best way to achieve that is through education, by educating the children themselves and their families on the dangers of mines and on the alternatives they have and on the value of staying in school.
Marco dreams of someday entering a profession, either engineering or medicine. But both he and his family know all too well that the mines are where dreams go to die.
Yo pienso que no trabajaría ya en la mina.
It will be really nice if he doesn't work in the mine because it's dangerous, but we need the money because it's not enough the money that we have from my husband.
The numbing pleasure provided by coca leaf helps Maximo Ocampo deal with the silicosis infection in his lungs. He would like to quit mining and take advantage of the small disability pension offered by his cooperative, but it's just not enough. Then there is Marco to consider. If Maximo quit the mine, Marco would almost certainly have to quit school. To keep Marco going to school, Maximo will keep going to the mine.
A lo menos mi idea es de que yo siempre le animo a Marco de que
My purpose is to give him some strength to study, so that he doesn't have to be a poorly paid miner.
In the area surrounding Potosi, there are thousands of families that depend on mining. When mineral prices are high, the most productive miner can make as much as $500 a month, relatively high pay for rural Bolivia. But for most miners, a typical monthly wage is less than $200. For children working in the mines, it is much less. The fact that the mine is still productive after hundreds of years hasn't gone unnoticed outside Bolivia. There is vague talk of a foreign company using new technology to extract the minerals in the mine tailings, where Juana Condori and her daughter scrape out an existence.
For example, no? Doña Juana find this kind of rock, okay? You can see it's shining, all this shining is zinc. Now the zinc is in a very good price, really, okay?
With prices for zinc and tin so high, the mine has suddenly become a more attractive investment prospect. There is even word going around in whispers of the possible discovery of a huge vein of American dollars.
There's hope that a company from the United States will make a major investment here, and they've approached CARE for advice on how they can also invest in the social sector. And if this happens, it would mean much safer mining conditions, highly skilled jobs, and really a much better way for the mining sector to continue to operate here.
At the church being built in the mining village of San Cristobal, Reverend Germán Chambi prepares for a congregation that consists entirely of mining families, mining widows, and mining orphans.
We're building classrooms for the children, and there will be a daycare center for the children between ages 1 and 12, so that we can help them.
Reverend Chambi says in addition to suffering crippling accidents and lingering lung diseases, the miners fall victim to hopelessness, despair, and drink. Still, escaping a life of slow death in the mines is not impossible.
he trabajado desde mis 13 y he terminado trabajando hasta mis...
I started working when I was 13, and I worked for 7 years, and then I stopped at age 20, and now I'm 22.
Maximo Ocampo says he went into the mines because of the quick cash they offered in a time when other opportunities were scarce. Now he wishes he had listened to his own father, who warned him not to follow in his footsteps, down a path leading only into darkness.
Ahora soy defraudado.
Now I disappointed my family.
Soy humillado como minero.
I am humiliated like as a miner.
No hay más palabras que decir, ¿no?
There are no more words to say. I'm sorry.
With each day in the mine, Marco Ocampo's dream of a career in medicine or engineering seems a little more distant, a little less likely. Like their fathers and grandfathers, like so many of their ancestors across nearly 5 centuries, the boys and young men of Potosi go into the mines seeking riches, finding regret, and wondering whether someday they can spare their own sons the fate they could not escape, or if they will be forced to share it with them.